Have you ever felt like you're walking through fog when trying to understand a woman's emotions? Ever noticed how a simple no can linger in her mind longer than you'd expect? What if you discovered there are 10 emotional patterns hidden? Weaknesses that quietly shape how many women behave. And once you see them, you can never unsee them? Let's begin with the first one, something deeply human, yet often misunderstood: the fear of rejection. Rejection stings for everyone, but for many women, it cuts deeper and lasts longer. While some men might meet rejection with anger, frustration, or even indifference, many women internalize it. They carry it, analyze it, and replay it again and again, sometimes for hours, days, even weeks. Why is that? It often begins early in life. Many women are raised in environments where their sense of worth is tightly linked to external approval, compliments on their looks, praise for being agreeable, or recognition from friends and family. Over time, this constant search for validation becomes ingrained. So when rejection shows up, whether in romance, work, or friendship, it's not just about that moment. It's about all the moments before it too. It awakens old doubts, long buried, insecurities, and unhealed wounds. Think back, have you ever seen someone stuck in their own head, replaying what they said, wondering what they could have done differently? That's the emotional loop many women find themselves trapped in. It's painful, exhausting, and often invisible to the people around them. And this is exactly why some women hesitate to open up or take emotional risks. It's not about pride, it's about self-preservation. The fear of hearing no can feel like too much to bear. But here's where your Stoic strength comes in. As a man grounded in Stoic principles, your role isn't to manipulate this vulnerability, it's to understand it. You meet it with patience, not pressure. You offer calm presence, not judgment. Because that's what builds trust. Start by practicing patience. If she seems guarded or unsure, don't rush her. Show up with steady, honest actions. Let your consistency speak louder than promises. That quiet reliability builds emotional safety over time. Next, when you sense she's doubting herself, offer simple, sincere reassurance. If she nervously asks, "Did I say something wrong?" or "Am I even good at this?" respond gently. You don't need to flatter, just be kind. Say, "You're overthinking. What matters is you gave it your best." Or, "Nobody's perfect and you don't have to be." These small affirmations can mean the world. And finally, lead by example. Let her see you handle rejection with composure and grace. When you treat rejection as feedback, not failure, you show her that strength isn't in never falling, it's in how you rise again. That's the power of emotional steadiness. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's magnetic. Now, let's move on to the second weakness, one that's deeply tied to identity and often misunderstood. Previously, we explored how the fear of rejection can silently shape a woman's choices, leading her to hesitate, overthink, and even pull away. But fear doesn't work alone. It often walks hand in hand with another quiet force: self-doubt, fueled by overthinking. Have you ever made a casual comment only to notice someone fall into silence, their mind clearly spinning? For many women, overthinking isn't just a habit, it's a survival mechanism. It comes from a deep desire to feel safe, understood, and emotionally secure. Women often process interactions more deeply than men. A simple phrase like, "I'll call you later," might be nothing to you. But for her, it can spark a chain reaction. Did I sound too needy? Was he annoyed? Did I say something wrong? These questions pile up like dominoes falling, triggered by a single line. Why does this happen? Because in a world that constantly judges women, how they look, how they speak, even how they feel, many develop a mental filter of self-criticism. Every pause in a conversation, every vague message, every moment of distance can be misinterpreted as rejection. Picture this. She texts a friend, pouring her heart out after a stressful day. The reply? Just, "Oh, that's tough." Most people might shrug it off, but she begins to question everything. Was I too much? Am I being a burden? Should I have kept that to myself? That spiral driven by doubt is exhausting, emotionally draining, and often invisible to everyone else. So, how do you support someone who overthinks, especially as a Stoic man? You become her anchor. Your calmness, your steadiness, your presence, they matter more than you think. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and release what we can't. When you embody that, you offer her a model of clarity and peace. Here's how to help her gently step out of the spiral. First, notice the signs. When someone is overthinking, they often seek reassurance. They might ask things like, "Are you mad at me?" Or "Did I mess that up?" Don't brush it off. Instead, validate her feelings. Say something like, "I can see this is on your mind. Want to talk about it?" It's simple, but powerful. Second, resist joining her in the spiral. If she's spinning through a storm of what-ifs, don't overanalyze with her. Instead, help bring her back to the present. If she's stressing over a short text message, gently ground her. If something was wrong, I'm sure they'd say so. Let's not overthink it. This grounds her without dismissing her emotions. Third, be clear in your own communication. Ambiguity feeds anxiety. So if she asks, "Did I upset you earlier?" don't say "It's fine" if it's not. Be honest and clear. "No, not at all. I was just preoccupied." Your clarity is a gift. It prevents hours, sometimes days of unnecessary worry. And finally, share Stoic perspective when the moment is right. Remind her, we can't control what others think, but we can control how we respond. This insight, though simple, helps shift her mindset from anxiety to empowerment. One of the most effective ways to help her grow is to show her how you manage your own mind. If she sees you face challenges without spiraling, letting go of what doesn't serve you, and moving forward with purpose, she begin to mirror that emotional strength over time. You don't have to fix her overthinking. You just have to be the calm in her storm. And now, let's take a closer look at the third weakness, one that often hides behind a confident smile, yet quietly controls many decisions from the shadows. Previously, we explored how overthinking can drain a woman's emotional energy and how your steady presence can become her anchor in the storm. But what happens when that emotional connection deepens? When she begins to lean on you, not just for clarity, but for emotional safety. This brings us to the third weakness, emotional dependency. Have you ever noticed how women often seek emotional closeness in relationships, not just casually, but deeply? This isn't just about preference. For many women, it's a core need. When they feel safe with someone they trust, that emotional bond can evolve into dependency. Now at first, this might sound like pressure, something heavy to carry. But in truth, it's something far more meaningful. When a woman becomes emotionally dependent on you, it means she feels secure enough to be vulnerable. She's opening the door to her most unguarded self, hoping you'll not only listen, but truly understand. And that is a rare form of trust. Unfortunately, many men misread this. They feel overwhelmed. They back away, afraid that emotional closeness will cost them their freedom. They retreat, creating distance instead of connection. But this is where Stoicism offers a powerful path forward, because Stoicism doesn't demand that you sacrifice your independence. It teaches balance, that sweet spot between being emotionally present and staying grounded in your own identity. Let's be clear. A woman who opens up to you isn't asking you to solve all her problems. She's not looking for a savior. What she needs is a partner, someone who can stand beside her, offer clarity, and validate what she's feeling without losing themselves in the process. Think of it like this. If you become overly available, constantly prioritizing her emotions while ignoring your own, the balance shifts. You may unintentionally create a dynamic where your presence becomes expected, not respected. Your value diminishes. On the flip side, if you swing too far in the other direction, emotionally distant, cold, detached, you slowly erode the very trust she placed in you. Both extremes are dangerous. The answer? Find the middle ground. So how do you handle emotional dependency the Stoic way? First, stay present, but not consumed. When she opens up, don't just offer empty nods or shallow words. Really listen. Respond with calm, clear empathy. Let her feel heard without taking on her emotions as your own. Your steady energy becomes the lighthouse in her emotional fog. Second, encourage her to develop her own emotional strength. The healthiest relationships are built on mutual independence. You can still support her while gently guiding her toward her own wisdom. For example, if she's overwhelmed about a decision, don't rush to solve it. Instead say, "I trust your judgment," or "You've got this, you're more capable than you realize." These small moments empower her without making her feel abandoned. True support isn't about taking over. It's about walking beside someone while they find their own way forward. Now, let's move into the fourth weakness, one that quietly dictates decisions, masks itself as confidence, and yet leaves many women feeling emotionally starved. Previously, we explored how emotional dependency, when met with presence and boundaries, can evolve into deeper trust, not weakness. But to sustain that trust, you also need to protect something crucial: your own emotional energy. Let's continue with the tools every Stoic man needs to manage this balance with strength and respect. Third, guard your emotional energy. When someone leans on you emotionally, it can be beautiful, but it can also become overwhelming if you're not mindful. That's why it's essential to protect your own inner world. Make time for things that ground you. Whether it's practicing mindfulness, hitting the gym, diving into your hobbies, or spending time with friends, your life outside, the relationship matters. Why? Because when you're emotionally recharged, you show up with greater clarity, strength, and patience. If you neglect yourself, you risk becoming resentful or drained, which helps no one. Fourth, set clear, compassionate boundaries. Open communication is everything. If you need space after a long day, don't go silent or shut her out. Instead, speak calmly and clearly. You might say, "I really want to be present with you, but I need a little time to reset first." That's not rejection, it's honesty with kindness. When you express your needs respectfully, she learns that boundaries are not barriers, they're bridges to better connection. This is where Stoicism shines. It teaches that respect must take the place of emotional overdependence. When you remain emotionally available but firmly grounded, you model inner leadership. You show that true connection doesn't mean merging into each other. It means meeting as two whole people, side by side. So here's the heart of it. If you can offer support without losing yourself, If you can stand strong without shutting her out, you create a relationship that doesn't just survive, it grows, deepens, and thrives. Women deeply respect a man who listens, holds space, and still stands firm in his own identity. You don't have to be her everything, you just have to be her rock. Steady, reliable, unshaken. Now let's move on to the fourth weakness, one that's often misunderstood, but touches almost every woman you'll meet. Sensitivity to criticism. Criticism is something we all deal with, but for many women, it cuts deeper. Even when it's meant to be constructive, even when it's phrased gently, it can feel like a personal attack. But here's the truth. This isn't a flaw. It's a natural emotional response, rooted in vulnerability. And understanding this is key to navigating it with wisdom. When a woman is criticized, especially by someone she cares about, it can stir a wave of emotion. Maybe it taps into old insecurities. Maybe it reawakens a quiet fear of not being enough. Often, it's less about the words and more about how it makes her feel. And that's why, in a relationship, criticism must be handled with deep care. As a Stoic man, your role isn't to avoid feedback, nor is it to deliver it bluntly in the name of honesty. Your role is to create a safe emotional space, one where growth can happen without shame. Picture this. She's done something that frustrates you. Your instinct might be to react. Why did you do that? Or you always mess this up. But that tone, that framing, can hit like a hammer. Instead, take a pause. Speak from patience, not irritation. Try saying, "I see how that happened. Let's talk about how we can handle it differently next time." See the shift? It's no longer an accusation, it's a partnership. You're inviting her into the solution, not cornering her into guilt. Why is this so important? Because many women are deeply attuned to approval and recognition. They want to feel seen, valued, respected. So even gentle criticism can feel like rejection if it's not delivered with empathy. That's why every word matters. When you speak from care, not frustration, you give her room to hear you without shutting down. She won't feel attacked. She feels safe. And Stoicism teaches something powerful here. Your greatest strength lies in how you respond. When she reacts emotionally, don't meet it with more emotion. Take a breath. Let the storm pass. Let your composure speak louder than any words. Earlier, we explored how sensitivity to criticism often stems from a deep emotional need to feel seen, not judged. And as a Stoic man, your response can either deepen the wound or help her grow through it. The key lies in your emotional control. So what do you do when your feedback triggers a strong emotional reaction? You stay grounded. This is where emotional composure becomes your most powerful tool. When she responds with defensiveness, tears, or frustration, your calmness sets the tone. Instead of reacting to her emotions, you respond to the real issue beneath them. Let's say you've offered her constructive feedback and she suddenly gets upset. She raises her voice, pulls away, or seems hurt. The common impulse? To match that energy, shut her down, or even withdraw completely. But that only builds walls. As a Stoic, you take a different route. You might say something like, "I understand this feedback may not be easy to hear, but I want you to know my intention is to help, not to hurt. How can we work through this together?" That one shift in tone makes all the difference. It shows her two things. First, that you're acknowledging her emotions, you're not dismissing or ignoring how she feels. Second, that the feedback is not an attack on her identity, but an opportunity to strengthen your connection and grow together. This kind of response builds trust. It transforms what could have been a defensive standoff into a respectful, forward-moving conversation. The Stoic approach to criticism doesn't mean you avoid hard truths. And it doesn't mean you sugarcoat reality. What it does mean is that you deliver truth with grace. You speak with clarity and compassion, because that's how real connection is built. But let's be honest. Even if you say everything right, what if she still doesn't take it well? That's a fair question. Some people due to past wounds or internal fears struggle to receive criticism, no matter how gently it's given. And that's where your patience must shine, because a Stoic isn't rattled by emotional turbulence. He holds steady even when others cannot. So if she reacts with resistance or shuts down, don't take it personally. Give her the space to breathe. Sometimes it's not the message that's the problem, it's the moment. The emotional readiness may not be there yet, but with time, consistency, and a gentle heart, you start to realize that your feedback doesn't come from judgment. It comes from care. And as you continue to embody emotional calm, speak with empathy, and respond without ego, you'll create a space where she not only feels safe, but where she can thrive. Over time, she'll begin to welcome your insight instead of bracing against it. She'll see your composure not as detachment, but as love with structure. And now, let's look at the fifth weakness, one that hides behind charm, thrives on attention, and can easily mislead if you're not paying close attention. In the previous section, we learned how emotional composure, especially in the face of criticism, can deepen trust and transform communication. Now let's shift to another powerful force that drives many of a woman's decisions and behaviors: the desire for security. Have you ever wondered why this longing for security runs so deep? It's not just about money in the bank or a roof overhead. For many women, security is far more emotional than material. It's about feeling safe in the presence of a man who won't crumble when life gets hard. Imagine her daily life: deadlines at work, family responsibilities, emotional pressures, and the constant noise of social expectations. These uncertainties build tension, and in moments of vulnerability, she's not just looking for someone with quick answers. She's looking for someone who is the answer, not through control or dominance, but through emotional steadiness. That's where a man's inner stability becomes magnetic. But let's clear something up. This isn't about showing off wealth or flexing status. True security isn't loud. It's not in the brand of your car or the size of your bank account. It's in how you carry yourself when things get messy. A Stoic man embodies this type of security. He stays grounded when chaos hits. He doesn't panic, doesn't lash out, and doesn't get swept away by emotion. Instead, he offers calm energy, a quiet, consistent strength that whispers, "I've got this." Think about the power of a man who keeps his word, who doesn't crumble under stress, who listens more than he reacts. That kind of presence sends a message without needing to say a word: "You can count on me." And yes, financial security plays a role too, but again, not in the flashy sense. It's not about throwing money around, it's about being responsible. A man who budgets wisely, avoids reckless spending, and plans for the future shows that he values not just today but what comes next. Because the truth is, women don't want someone who parties hard today and panics about rent tomorrow. They want a man who is building something, a future, a foundation, a life with direction. That's what makes her feel safe, not just in the world, but in your presence. And here's the final truth: emotional stability is the deepest form of security. When she sees you staying composed through uncertainty, leading with patience instead of pressure, She knows she can exhale around you. You become the calm in her storm. Previously, we explored how a woman's desire for security isn't rooted in control, wealth, or promises, but in the emotional consistency of a grounded man. That brings us to a powerful final truth. Real strength doesn't come from control, it comes from consistency. A stoic man has no need to dominate or manipulate to feel significant. He doesn't chase power through force or attention. Instead, his quiet, unwavering character speaks volumes. His steady decisions, his emotional balance, and his calm presence create something rare and deeply valuable. A space where trust can thrive. And trust, more than anything, is the foundation of real security. When a woman senses that she can trust you, not just in moments of peace, but especially in moments of pressure, that's when she truly lets her guard down. That's when she sees you not just as a partner, but as a protector of her peace. When you embody this level of emotional strength, both in heart and in habit, you offer something few men ever do: peace of mind. And that, my friend, is a form of safety that no status symbol or flashy gesture can ever replace. Now step back and look at the bigger picture. By understanding these 10 emotional vulnerabilities, you're not just learning how women operate. You're unlocking a deeper ability, the power to connect with depth, intention, and wisdom. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond with clarity. Instead of confusion, you lead with calm confidence. This is what Stoicism trains you to do: to see the emotions beneath the surface, to stay rooted while others waver, and to turn moments of tension into moments of truth. Stoic wisdom teaches that relationships are not games of control, but paths of growth. When you approach women with patience, empathy, and insight, you stop seeing their weaknesses as problems and start seeing them as invitations for deeper connection. So remember this: every emotional pattern you've just learned isn't something to exploit, it's something to understand. And through that understanding, you don't just become stronger, you help others rise with you. If this message spoke to you, keep learning. Watch the next video and continue your journey toward deeper strength, wiser relationships, and a calmer, more powerful life. Because when you master your mind, everything else begins to follow.